Hello, welcome again on the topic which we were doing last time, federalism. This is lecture second of federalism. I am Ashwin Joglekar from PCCP division. So, let us begin with the topic federalism. In the previous lecture, we had discussed about what is federalism and its opposite, that is just the contrast of it, unitary form of government. Then we looked at holding together and coming together federations, some key features of federalism, and apart from that, later on we also saw the federalism, how it is in India, that is division of powers, written and rigid constitution and independent judiciary. Now, today we will discuss about how is federalism practiced, or that is in context of India. So, the real success of federalism in India can be attributed to the nature of democratic politics in our country. This ensures that spirit of federalism, respect for diversity and desire for living together became a shared ideal in our country. Now, this was in India in 1947, and you can see the divisions, that is different state boundaries, as was India during 1947. Okay. Now, the first test of India probably in terms of federalism was the creation of linguistic states. Now, linguistic means on the basis of language. The creation of linguistic states was the first and major test for democratic politics in our country. In 1947, that is, the boundaries of several old states of India were changed in order to create new states. This was done to ensure that people spoke the same language, lived in the same state, and it was again believed that people of the same language community can be administered also easily in the same manner. Some states were created not on the basis of language, but to recognize their differences based on culture, ethnicity or geography, and these states were Nagaland, Uttarakhand and Jharkhand. The second test was in terms of language policy, that is a second test for Indian Federation is the language policy. Our constitution did not give the special status to any language. So, therefore, Hindi was identified as the official language, but besides Hindi there are 21 other official languages recognized as scheduled languages by the constitution. Now, states also have their own official languages. Much of the government work takes place in Hindi, in the official language of the concerned state, and also of the central government in Hindi. According to the constitution, the use of English for official purposes was to stop in 1965, but later on it decided that no, it should continue with English, the use of English also, along with Hindi for official purposes. The third point here is the center and the state relations. Now, again after 1990s, the era of coalition politics started in India. That is how different regional or the state parties also became prominent in shaping up the central government. That is, restructuring the center state relations is one more way in which federalism has strengthened in practice. For a long time, the same party ruled both at the center as well as in the respective state governments. In those days, the central government would often misuse its power and of the constitution to dismiss the state governments that were controlled by the rival parties. This undermined the spirit of federalism in the country, and all this changed significantly after the 1990s when the era of coalition politics began. Now, these are some of the cartoons which are caricatures which have been used in the book. Definition of coalition government is when two or more parties, they come together and form an alliance, and later on if that alliance wins, they form the government. That is, in the past few elections, since no single party is getting a clear majority in the Lok Sabha, that is previously the major national parties had to enter into an alliance with many parties including regional parties to form a government at the center. This led to a new culture of power sharing and respect for the autonomy of state governments as well. This trend was supported by a major judgment of the Supreme Court again, which it made it difficult for the members of the parties, that is to dismiss state governments in an arbitrary manner. That is, major judgment of Supreme Court that made it difficult for the central government. Okay, so many of the members of the parties of the central government sometimes used to earlier dismiss the state governments in an arbitrary manner. Thus, federal power sharing is more effective today than it was earlier years in when the constitution came into its existence. Now, this is again states and union territories, the current, as you can see, the current divisions with the boundaries, political boundaries as well. Okay. Now, thus we move on to the next topic or the last topic of this chapter, that is decentralization in India. Now, what do we mean by decentralization? Now, decentralization is when power is taken from central or the state governments and respective and given it further to the other form of government, that is your panchayats or the municipalities. That is, you can see the definition here, when power is taken from central or state governments and given to local governments, that is known as decentralization. Now, states in India are quite big and as well as diverse, that is as large as independent countries of Europe. Many of these states are internally very diverse. There is thus a need for power sharing within these states also. So, the state government, apart from state governments, there was also a need felt for a further tier of government. Federal power sharing in India needs another tier of government below that of state governments, and this is the rationale behind the decentralization for power. When power is taken from the central government, again the same definition. So, I will just continue further. That is, the basic idea behind decentralization is that there are a large number of problems and issues which can be solved at best at the local level itself. So, therefore, best settled at the local level. People have a better knowledge about their problems as well as localities. So, they also have better ideas on how to solve them, on where to spend money and how to manage things more efficiently. Besides, at the local level, it is possible for people to directly participate in decision making also. This helps to inculcate a feeling of a habit of democratic participation. Local government is the best way to realize one important principle of democracy, that is namely local self-government. Now, attempts to decentralize power, the constitution had to be amended, and therefore, with the 73rd and the 74th Amendment Act. So, panchayats and villages and municipalities in urban areas were set up in all the states. A major step towards decentralization was taken in 1992. The constitution was amended so that to make the third tier of democracy more powerful and effective. Now, as such, we know that panchayats were there in India much since a long time, but they did not have a constitutional backing to it. Now, after this amendment, now they have a legal backing. So, therefore, 73rd Amendment Act in 1992, 73rd Amendment Act gave constitutional status to Panchayati Raj institutions or the rural local bodies. It created the third tier of federalism in India below the central and the state government, or you can also say the vertical division. The objective of this amendment was to make democracy more powerful and effective by giving power to the grassroots units of the self-government, or at the most basic starting level, that is the village level. The salient features were, that is to provide a three-tier system of Panchayati Raj for all states having a population over 20 lakhs, to hold panchayats regularly every 5 years, elections, that is, to provide reservation of seats for scheduled caste, scheduled tribes as well as women, and not less than 33% for women, to appoint a state election commission, that is state finance commission, to make recommendations as regards to the financial powers of the panchayats, as well as SEC to be created, that is state election commission, which conducts the elections of the for these bodies, to constitute district planning committee to prepare draft development plan for the district as a whole. Now, working of the rural local government under the three-tier system of decentralization, the Zilla Parishad or the district is at the top level or the apex body. Then it is followed by Panchayat Samitis, which are also known as block Samitis at the block level as the second tier, and further followed by Gram Panchayats at the third tier. Each village generally has a gram panchayat whose members are elected by the adult population of that complete village. A few gram panchayats are clubbed together to form a panchayat samiti or block, and the members of this representative body are elected by all the panchayat members of that particular area. All the panchayat samitis are collectively in a district collectively make up the complete Zilla Parishad. The state governments are required to share some powers and revenue with these bodies. Each village or group of villages in some states has a gram panchayat, a council consisting of several ward members, often called panch or and a president or sarpanch. They are directly elected by all the adult population living in that area. It is the decision making body for the entire village, works under the overall supervision of the Gram Sabha, that is the Gram Panchayat. It has to meet at least twice in a year or thrice in a year to approve the annual budget of the Gram Panchayat and to review the working or the performance of the Gram Panchayat. Local government bodies exist for urban areas as well. Municipalities are set up in towns and big cities are constituted into municipal corporations. Now, municipal chairperson is the political head of the municipality. In a municipal corporation, such a person or officer is called the mayor. Powers and responsibilities. According to constitution, panchayat shall be given power and authority in relation to the following matters: preparation of a plan for economic development and social justice for the village, implementation of schemes for economic development of the village. It will charge and collect all dues, taxes duties, tolls and fees. Functions of Gram Sabha. The Gram Sabha has a key role for effective functioning of the panchayats. In the Gram Sabha meeting, the rural, poor, the women and the marginalized people also get the opportunity to make decisions on matters which are affecting them. Now, following are the functions of the Gram Sabha. Gram Sabha again should meet at least once in each quarter, preferably on Republic Day, Labour Day, Independence Day or Gandhi Jayanti. It should decide the developmental work which is to be carried out by the panchayats. It should suggest remedial measures for economy and efficiency in the functioning of the panchayats. It should question and examine the decisions of panchayats in the meeting of Gram Sabha. It should also discuss the annual financial statement of Gram Panchayats and examine the revenues and expenditures. Now, what are the demerits of local self-government? First of all, irregular elections, that is, most of the states elections to panchayats are irregular and are not in a timely manner and uncertain, leading to the monopoly of previously elected persons. Then domination of upper caste. The Panchayati Raj system is mostly dominated by the upper caste people, that is rich farmers, money lenders and upper caste people. That is why the new Panchayati Raj Act provides for reservation for SCs and STs in proportion to their population. Ignorance, illiteracy and poverty of the villagers, ignorance about the rights, then illiteracy and poverty of the people lead to less enthusiasm about the Panchayati Raj system. Excessive official control, that is district officials interfere unnecessarily in the functioning or working of the panchayats, and then state governments do not release adequate funds for the developmental work, that is lack of adequate funds. A lot of money is needed for the developmental activities, but the sources of income are limited. This leads to ill functioning of the panchayats. Now, this is an experiment in Brazil which was carried out, that is in the city of Porto Alegre in Brazil, and similar thing has been carried out even in our country in some parts of Kerala, that is where an extraordinary experiment combining decentralization with participative democracy. Some of the key terms which are mentioned here are jurisdiction, scheduled languages, coalition governments and Panchayat Samiti. So, that is all for our federalism chapter. Thank you so much.